Hello my friends, welcome to this week's Kids Church at Home. As we continue through the season of creation, this week we're going to explore the sky and God's existence within that beautiful sky that is above us. I wonder, have you seen any beautiful sunsets or sunrises lately? This past week I saw an amazing storm, and look at how incredible the lightning was in the sky. Even though a storm can be frightening, it's also so beautiful to see the shapes of the clouds and the light. So amazing. Before we jump into it, our special shout out this week goes to Caleb and Eli and Isaiah. Thanks for joining us. So the season of creation is meant to remind us about how God is everywhere and in all things, including the sky. So I'm going to share a poem with you that was written a long time ago. So long ago we can find it in the Bible. It's Psalm 19, and this is the beginning of it. And let me share this poem with you. This is Psalm 19, verses 1 to 6, and it's from The Message. God's glory is on tour in the skies. God craft on exhibit across the horizon. Madame Day holds classes every morning and Professor Knight lectures each evening. Their words aren't heard, their voices aren't recorded, but their silence fills the earth. Unspoken truth is spoken everywhere. God makes a huge dome for the sun, a superdome. The morning sun is like newlyweds leaping off to their honeymoon. The day-breaking sun like an athlete racing to the tape. That's how God's word vaults across the skies from sunrise to sunset, melting ice, scorching deserts, warming hearts to faith. Wow, right? God is in that beauty and the power, the gentleness, the strength, the life that is the sky around us. God is the artwork, but God is the source of life in the air as well. So much there. So God infuses the sky with God's presence. Well, what does that mean really? What does that look like for God to be so much a part of all of it? I have an experiment that I'd like to invite you along with to see maybe if we can begin to understand how it is that God can be so much a part of all of that sky. So for this experiment, I have a jar, a great big mason jar, and you can see it's dripping. I have filled it with water. And I have some food coloring, and let's get into this little experiment. Okay, my friends, I've set up our experiment area for us, and I'll invite you to come and watch closely. I've put an old towel underneath because once we put food coloring in the water, if it spills, I don't want to stain the area around. So this is a just in case. So I want you to imagine that this jar is like the world. It is like the sky. And so we're wondering how it is that God can be a part of all of that. So let's imagine God is our food dye. What's going to happen when I put our food dye in the water? Are we going to see our food dye as drops in the water? What will happen? Let's watch closely. Isn't that beautiful? Look at how the color spreads. It dances about. It becomes part of the water, doesn't it? And if we leave it for some time, it will spread through and all of that water will be colored all the same. That's how God is part of all. God isn't just this food coloring that sits above the sky and that is apart from it. God is part of life. God is part of sky. God is part of us, infused in all of it. Now, since that was so beautiful, I want to experiment some more. Let's see if we can add some other colors. What do you think will happen if we add some red? Whoa! Look at that go. That's getting a bit dark in there. I wonder if we were to add some lighter colors, if that might make a difference. Do we see the yellow in there? Yes. Isn't it calming to see the colors sort of dance through that water like that? This is a wonderful thing to do, maybe when you're feeling nervous about something or you've had a bad day and you're just feeling worked up. There's something calming about just watching the colors as they dance through the water. And take time to breathe. Watch how they change the water. And imagine that those colors are God. There's God's strength. There's God's love. There's God's forgiveness. And how these can all mix together. There's so much we can do with this. I'm going to go dump this out and fill it up again, and let's try again. Before I do, let me bring it closer to the camera. Can you see all the little lines that are still in there? Isn't that amazing? So beautiful. From afar, maybe it looks as though the jar is getting all dark and black. From close up, we can still see how the colors are all in there, slowly mixing together. Okay, let's start one more time and do that again. Okay, we are ready to start again. This time, let's start adding our colors in a different order. And I liked how we were thinking about this being different qualities of God. So we could imagine the yellow is God's strength. And maybe we can imagine the blue is God's love. And maybe we could see the red as God's forgiveness. As we continue to watch, you can see the colors slowly mixing. As I was filling up the jar the second time, I wondered what it would be like if I filled it with hot water instead of cold water. Maybe that's something you can try at home. Experiment with whether or not the temperature of the water changes how the colors mix and dance in the water. Well, this time certainly the colors mix more closely together. I don't see as many streaks in there, but I do have a very purpley color in there. It's really quite pretty. And it was so neat to see how both times were different. And I imagine if I were to do it again, it will be different again. It's a really cool way to kind of take some space for yourself and maybe calm down after a busy day. Well, I had fun with our experiment. Not only was it beautiful, but it was also calming and reassuring. I hope that you might have the opportunity to do your own experiment at some point at home and just take the time to watch the colors and to remember that just like those colors infusing the water, God infuses all of life. As you go into the week ahead, my friends, take this blessing to heart and use this blessing to bless others. May there be love in your heart to give. May there be joy in your heart to share. And may there be strength in your heart to lift others up. See ya.